Back in the early days of China's auto industry, you'd open the hood of a domestic car, and guess what? It probably didn't say BYD or Chery on the engine. Nope, it said Mitsubishi. So how did a Japanese brand, best known for off-roaders and relevance, end up secretly powering half of China's car brands just by selling engines? Even more ironically, it kind of saved itself doing that. This is the strange, behind-the-scenes story of Mitsubishi, or as it's called in Chinese, San Ling. Mitsubishi entered the car game surprisingly early. It built Japan's first mass-produced car, the Model A, all the way back in 1917. The Model A was meant to be a luxury sedan based on a Fiat chassis, but the cost was sky-high, and they only built 22 units before calling it quits. After that, Mitsubishi went back to what it did best: ships, planes, and heavy industry. Its real return to car making didn't happen until the 1970s and 1980s. It's like someone who signed up for the marathon before anyone else, then spent decades warming up while others already crossed the finish line. In Chinese, there's a perfect idiom for this: 起了个大早，赶了个晚集. Literally woke up early, but showed up late to the market. So, what does Mitsubishi even mean? It's not some random name put from a hat. It's actually two Japanese words. Mitsu means three, and bishi means water chestnut, or more accurately, diamond-shaped rhombus. Put them together, and you get three diamonds, which is literally the logo. Not very subtle, right? But here's the cool part. That logo wasn't dreamed up by a marketing team. It came from family crest. The Iwasaki family, who founded Mitsubishi, used a crest called Sangai Bishi, three stacked rhombuses. The Yamauchi clan, lords of the Tosa domain, used Mitsugashiwa Bishi, three oak leaves in a triangle. Merge the two, you get the iconic logo. In fact, a version of it first appeared on the ship flags of Tsukumo Shogai, the company that would later become Mitsubishi, all the way back in 1970, and the trademark officially registered in 1914. Alright, now let's rewind a bit, because Mitsubishi's story with China doesn't begin with Outlanders or Pajeros. It actually dates way back to the 1970s. In 1973, as Japan and China began normalizing diplomatic ties, Mitsubishi shipped its first batch of trucks to China, including the Fuso light-duty models. These weren't just well-built, they were reliable, practical, and ideal for China's infrastructure at the time. They even inspired China's first-generation flat-nose trucks, like the FAW Jiefang CA150 series, which modeled its cab on the T850. It was an early step toward global standard truck design in China. Then came 1985. In December, Mitsubishi signed a technical licensing agreement with Liuzhou Micro Vehicle Factory, the company that would later become Wuling. Under the deal, Wuling began producing the LZ110, a macro commercial vehicle based on the Mitsubishi minicab L100. That Wuling, the same brand that decades later would become General Motors' unlikely savior in China. Fun fact, the name Wuling means 5 diamonds, just 2 more than Mitsubishi's 3. Their logo reflects that. Fast forward, Wuling grew into a domestic titan. In 2009, Forbes even called the Wuling Sunshine the most important car on Earth, praising its $4,500 price tag and utility. The partnership had ripple effects. Now, with key Wuling executives taking senior roles at stake, people are asking, can Wuling now saves SAIC the way it saved GM. Meanwhile, Mitsubishi was winning hearts in a very different way with the Pajero. In the late 80s and early 90s, the Pajero was the go-to off-roader. Chinese border patrol units, forestry agencies, and TV dramas all featured it. It was rugged, cool, and expensive. Even before official production began in China, local factories like Bamin Auto were crafting Pajero knockoffs using Beijing 212 platforms. Then came CKD assembly deals with Zhanjiang Sanxing and Guangzhou Yunbao, building legit V31 and V33 Pajeros from Japanese kits, though plagued by quality issues. So Mitsubishi stepped in. In 1996, it partnered with Changfeng to locally produce Pajeros under the 3 Diamond badge. These weren't clones, they were legit. Models like the V31 and V33, and later V73 and V77 were built for real. Changfeng even made the Liebao, or Leopard, a stripped-down Pajero sibling, on the same chassis. Later, Beijing Jeep joined to build the Pajero Sport, and in 2012, Mitsubishi went all in with a joint venture, GAC Mitsubishi, and among the first models they produced was the 3rd generation Pajero V73. They also built Outlanders, the short-lived Eclipse Cross, and other SUVs. What really stuck with me, though, was the dashboard. As a kid, I was obsessed with that little center pod, the altimeter, thermometer, inclinometer combo. It made the Pajero feel like a fighter jet cockpit. No wonder every uncle in town wanted one. At the time, a viral parody of a Toyota slogan summed it up best. Where there's a road, there's a Toyota. Where there's no road, there's a Pajero. It wasn't just a joke. It was proof that Pajero had earned its place in the hearts of Chinese drivers and helped define the country's off-road culture. But while SUVs got the spotlight, engines were doing the quiet heavy lifting. China's car boom hit a wall in one key area: engines. Car makers had bodies, but no hearts. Global players refused to share engine tech. Mitsubishi, they said yes. The offer? Older, small displacement engines, no longer used in Japan. Perfect for a market hungry for anything that could move a car. By the late 90s, Mitsubishi had 2 engine plants in China, Shenyang and Harbin. Outdated in Japan, but perfect for China. Reliable, fuel efficient, and easy to fix. First, these engines stayed within the Mitsubishi orbit. In brands like Southeast, which mainly produced Mitsubishi sedans such as the Lancer Yishen, the localized version of Lancer EX, Changfeng, and Hefei. But after 2003, things exploded. Independent brands like Chery and BYD used them too. Soon, everyone joined the 4G club. BYD F3, the Great Wall Hover, Chery Tiggo, even the Jeep 2500. If you saw a 4G63 or 4G64 engine, that was a green light. Why Mitsubishi? 1. No better options. 2. Engines were old but bulletproof. 3. Localized production made them cheap. Didn't matter if it was a sedan or a SUV. No engine budget, just drop in a Mitsubishi. Ironically, just as Mitsubishi's reputation was crumbling due to brief defects of Pajeros and over 150 conceived quality issues, it was Mitsubishi's engines in China that held up the collapsing house. But behind the scenes, things were quietly falling apart, not all at once, but piece by piece. First, there was a trust crisis. Pajeros were recorded for brake line defects in 2000. Then came the cover-ups, over 150 quality issues hidden from regulators. That kind of damage, it sticks. Then the engine boom, went bust. Once the crown jewel, Shenyang Aerospace Mitsubishi, saw sales fall off a cliff from 800,000 units at its peak to just 200,000 units by 2022. Why? Because Chinese brands had learned to build their own engines. Meanwhile, Mitsubishi missed the EV revolution entirely. When China's new energy vehicle penetration hit 50% in 2024, Mitsubishi had just one electric car in the lineup, and it wasn't even theirs. The E-Track was a rebadged GAC Ion V. People saw it for what it was, lazy badge engineering. And finally, the tech just stopped moving. By the time the Outlander hit its sales peak in 2018, it hadn't had a full update in nearly 8 years. Interior design, infotainment, fuel economy, all outdated. In a market evolving monthly, Mitsubishi felt stuck in the 1990s. So by the time 2025 rolled around, the writing was already on the wall. One of the most quietly influential brands in China quietly exited the stage.